Cali bonita, eres un Edén de valles hermosos y lindas mujeres que siempre soñé.
Gracias. Gracias. Buenas tardes. Okay. Gracias. Check-in is at 3 p.m., see?
Sí, but maybe no be ready.
Okay. Thanks.
Un certificado o algo. Cada vez que lo abro lo reviso.
Welcome back, and I'm finally settled down here in Cali, Colombia. Here's a look of my room. This is an executive suite. Always come here and get this hotel. They gave me 2 beds. I have no idea why, but if I choose to, I can push the 2 beds together to make one big bed. So here's the room. Now let's look outside and see my view. It's not much of a view. All you can really see is mountains, and about 5 minutes downstairs is the good old Chippy Choppy shopping mall right there. And also, I don't know if you can see towards the left, I'm going to pan a little bit right here. You see the good old BYD, which means build your dreams. So the Chinese have a charging station outside of the mall, and they sell lots of BYD cars here. Not in just Colombia, but South America in general. So that's huge. But anyways, let's get into this video. The topic and title of this video is why is everyone wrong about Cali, Colombia?
Y'all tell anybody I'll kill you! I'll kill you! Peanut butter and crap. Look out, crack! Here I come!
Now remember, all this I'm about to say is based on my personal opinions and experiences, and all my opinions and experiences are based on many visits coming here to Cali, Colombia. And let's start off with number one. Number one would be that people say Cali, Colombia is very boring. And what I would say to that is it depends on what type of traveler you are. If you're the type and you just a coochie monster and that's all you travel for, and you come to Cali, Colombia, you probably be bored out your fucking mind. Because Cali, Colombia is no Cartagena, it's no Bogota. Here is not like Medellin. It's very different. So it's all about who you know. And this applies to anywhere you go in the world. Whoever you know in that specific place, in that country, in that city, could always make that trip that much better. So throughout all these years, I've accumulated a lot of friends that I know here. So Cali, Colombia, in my personal opinion, speaking about my experiences, will always rank the highest when it comes to anywhere I go throughout the country of Colombia. Cali, Colombia could never be boring to me because most of my friends live here in Cali. Most of the fun experiences I've had throughout all the years in Colombia have been here in Cali, Colombia. And it's probably most likely going to continue being my favorite city here in Colombia. So let's now move along to number two. Number two would be that throughout Colombia, one of the most dangerous countries to visit is Cali, Colombia. And what do I have to say about this? Well, I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat you, bullshit you around. I would say that, yeah, if you would have like a ranking from 1 through 5, I wouldn't be surprised that Cali, Colombia, yes, is on that list. Now, what does that mean? And what I have to say about that is what I said in some of my videos when I was in South Africa, which is most countries I travel to in some sort of way, most countries are fucked up in their own way. And it's just that some countries are more fucked up than others. And that includes my country, because we know what's going on in the US. So yes, it is high crime here in Cali, Colombia. But also it means that what type of crimes are here in Cali, Colombia. Because the crimes that happen here in Cali may not happen in Medellin, Cartagena, Bogota, San Andres, and other cities throughout Colombia. So yeah, proceed with caution when visiting this city. But also what that means is that you do not have to avoid not seeing this city. But again, it all depends on what type of traveler you are. And also, hopefully, you're not a complete idiot and you get on your laptop or your phone and you see what the current news is within that city you plan to visit. Because if you may not know, about, I would say 2 months ago,
Ambulancias, ambulancias, llamen ambulancias, bomberos.
Ay, buenos días, muchachos, da los cilindros que no alcanzaron a estallar. Esos son los cilindros. Marica, en este bus está lleno de pura gente. Puta.
it was a car bomb explosion here in Cali, Colombia, again on the western part, and at least 18 was killed. And there's other videos out there on the net that is more gruesome than what you just saw. Of course, I can't play those on the YouTube, but that lets you know that yes, it is crime here and it gets very serious here. Matter of fact, the first time I ever visited Cali, Colombia, about 2 years prior, it was also a car bombing explosion here that killed people. And this is something that is repetitive here in Cali if you do your research. In this article back in 2009, it states that a car bombing at a police station here in Cali, 2 people were killed. And I'm pretty sure it was more than 2 people. What you'll notice as a traveler is that most countries lie and they don't want the publicity of being a bad country. So they'll downplay the numbers. So it might be 10 people, but they'll say 2. So, okay, 2 people were killed, 14 wounded. Also mentioned in this article is the capital, which is Bogota. And they're blaming the FARC rebel group for a video rental store bombing in Bogota. That brings me back. 2009, it was still video rental stores. But yeah, that's just an example of the type of crimes that happen in Cali opposed to, for example, the crimes that happen in Medellin. And the crimes that happen in Medellin, and this is all, again, based on my opinions, observations, and just me visiting Colombia a lot of times throughout different cities. Point blank, the crimes that happen in Medellin, they're not happening here in Cali, Colombia. Specifically, we're talking about tourists. There is not as many, if any, drugging here in Cali, Colombia as it goes down every day, probably by the hour in Medellin, Colombia. And the drugging is specifically targeted at the tourists, dumb motherfuckers that come from Europe and North America. Specifically, we're talking about the US and Canada, excluding Mexico because they're not as dumb. They come here to Colombia, go to Medellin, and they're dealing with women of the night. They're dealing with prostitutes. And prostitutes do what they're supposed to do, which is get as much money out these dumb motherfuckers that visit here. And they do it via drugging. And then what happens is the guys that do get drugs, because ladies, they're not getting drugs. So the women that come from Europe and Northern America that come here to Colombia, they're not getting drugs. It's the guys. So it's letting you know what's going down. They're dealing with these women they meet online on different dating apps. And also women that they meet in person that really don't really fuck with them, because they're not really their type, probably most likely physically. And if you think about it, if someone really likes you, they're going to look out for you and they're not going to drug your ass. They're not going to try to harm you. So that type of crime doesn't happen here in Cali, Colombia as much as it does happen in, like I said, Medellin. By the hour, probably every day, it's a new tourist getting drugged. Let's just move on to number 3. But before that, you know, when I first arrived to a place, especially if they have some type of kitchenette or refrigerator. I like to get food or snacks or even both sometimes. It all depends. So I'm about to step out, go downstairs to the shopping mall, Chippy Choppy, get some drinks, get some snacks. So let's just move along, like I said, to number 3. And that is because Cali, Colombia wouldn't be Colombia's top premier tourist destination because it's not like again, Medellin. There's no beach here, so it's not like Cartagena or Santa Marta. So because of that, people may feel that it is less English spoken here opposed to Colombia's top tourist travel destinations. And I would say to that, as a tourist, as a traveler around the world, you should not let a language defer you from visiting that country or visiting that city. In the future, I plan to visit Japan. I don't speak Japanese, and I don't plan on taking classes on how to speak fluent Japanese. But what I will do before I go is learn a few words of how to say thank you, how to order different types of foods, how to say where's the bathroom, things of that sort. I don't plan on being fluent. So don't let that defer you from visiting any place. Because if that's the case, no one would travel. You would just stay in your own country. But if you ever do decide to move to another country, I would suggest, of course, yes, you do learn the local language then. But if you're traveling to a place for a week or so, you don't have to put so much effort into it. Now, going back to the BYD cars, these are the actual cars right here. And I could just do a whole video about that, especially since it's here in Colombia. And that is dumbass Elon Musk. What he decided to do was put all of his electric car manufacturing in China. And what China did, they came up with a great idea of, since they have the manufacturing here in our country, why not just copy their shit, meaning Tesla, and build our own electric cars, since they already have the blueprint, since the manufacturing is here in China, of how to build one, and also they know the blueprint of how to market one. So let's build our own electric cars here in China, since we're the manufacturer of the world, and let's undercut Elon Musk and any other American electric car company, and let's sell it for less than half the price that their cars go for, and eventually become the leading #1 electric car manufacturer of the world. And that's what's happening now because of dumbass Elon Musk. He wanted to break in the Chinese market so bad because of the growing middle class in China. Well, past tense, it was growing, but if you have not noticed, around the world, especially in China and the US, it's the battle of automation and robotics. So the jobs that was in China, meaning manufacturing, is becoming done by robots. So that's less jobs for their middle class, which will indeed hurt their middle class. But he had the opportunity to put manufacturing in the country that he originally came from, which is South Africa. I think he's from Pretoria, if I'm not mistaken. But he doesn't like black people so much because he's a racist, or as my parents would say, a part-time racist. And instead of showing country pride, he decided to go for greed more, as most companies do in the US, because Apple, they do the same shit. They put their iPhone in China to have all the manufacturing there, and what does China does? They're like, okay, we're gonna copy this shit, and we're gonna make a what's their knockoff of the iPhone? I think it's called Huawei, and they'll just copy the Apple's website. They'll copy the iPhone, and they'll just put their name on it, Huawei. Same features. They might add one little bonus feature, and they just undercut their competition. And throughout all these decades, now the U.S. want to complain and make a big fuss about things. But anyways, here I am. I'm at Exito, and I'm about to get a few things. Drinks, fruit, some snacks. I don't have a stove or oven, so I really can't cook anything. So it's all about fruits and snacks and drinks. That's about it. And if you haven't visited South America as of yet, when it comes to buying fruits, even vegetables, even meats, everything I would say is less than half of what you would pay back home in the US and Canada. Also, when it comes to freshness and actually seeing meats in its original state, meaning that when the meat is starting to age, it turns brown and it doesn't stay red the whole time. Because you know how it is in the US, it's all about appearance, baby. If the meat turns brown, that means it's bad. When you go to other countries, when meat turns brown or kind of grayish, that's normal. In the US, we make presentation so good, and we put things in our meats to make them nice and shiny and red, when actually they're dyes and chemicals and shit of that sort. And it always go back to my phrase: all countries are fucked up in some sort of way. When it comes to meats, vegetables, fruits, food in general, that does not happen, not just in Colombia, but in South America as a continent in general. That is more of a North America thing, basically meaning the US. And if your dumbass haven't figured out why, me and my aunt, we always talk about this, is because in the US, your health is a business. The objective is ways to make you sick, but at the same time, not making you die. So you'll live maybe a long life, but it's going to be very uncomfortable. And that's what the US, that's what we do. But it won't happen to me. And what I'm talking about is being unhealthy. Even when I'm home, I'm making sure that I pay whatever the amount it costs to get the top quality foods. So when I travel abroad, I don't really have to worry about that, because you'll notice that to get natural drinks and the cost of foods with little to no preservatives at all is much cheaper, and you really don't have to what can I say, it's almost like when you're in the US, you gotta like hunt for like healthy stuff because you're surrounded by unhealthy stuff. Here in Colombia or in South America or just countries in general, except for the US, you do not have to worry about that. So that's a good thing when it comes to traveling. And because I do not have a stove or oven, I had to buy something to just last me for today, because later on tonight I will be meeting my friend and we'll be going out to eat. Something I'm noticing in hotels, also in some apartments that I rent, is that the refrigerator already comes pre-packed with shit that I don't use or drink. I don't drink alcohol of any sort. And the things they have packed in here is useless to me. So I got to take all this shit out of this mini refrigerator and put the stuff I just bought in. Now, the bad thing with this is when it comes time to leave, they're going to be seeing drinks that they're probably going to calculate from looking in the trash can when they clean this place. And you might get overcharged for a drink that they have also, but you bought in a convenience store or Exito or wherever you purchase things from when you travel here in Colombia. So you can do many things. One thing you can do is just tell the reception desk downstairs in any hotel you're in or in the lobby, wherever they're located, is that you would like housekeeping to take out everything out the refrigerator because you plan on using the refrigerator to its full capacity. And they can do that, so when it's time to check out, there is no overcharging being done. Or what you could do, which it might be hard for some, is keep your fucking receipts of the things that you bought, so that when it does come time to check out, you have the receipt of something that they might have had in their refrigerator that you bought at an Exito or wherever you buy shit from. So in other words, keep the damn receipt. And this can apply to any place in the world that you travel to that you like to use their refrigerator and it's a bunch of shit in there that you know that you're not going to drink or eat. Take all that shit out, and like I said, keep your receipts, or just go downstairs to the reception desk and you explain to them that you're going to be using it, and you would like all that shit out of the refrigerator ASAP. So we're about to approach the end of this video. Why is everyone wrong about Cali, Colombia? If you're Colombian, let me know what you think, what people say that is wrong about Cali, Colombia. And if you're a traveler and you have traveled here before, it doesn't matter about how many times you visited, but you traveled here before to Cali, what do you think people get wrong about Cali, Colombia? That would be interesting to see your suggestions of what do you think. And also, if you have never been to Cali, Colombia, but some of the things that I have said throughout this video, doesn't matter what it was, whether it was on the topic of foods or the topic of idiots getting drugged or the topic of BYD, which they have charging stations now here in Colombia and throughout the world. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching this video.